Ivy Brown, 2 deep threes in the first quarter, and she's a big reason why Western Kentucky has a 7-point lead as we start things off here in Murfreesboro in the second quarter. As you see there, the only Division I player averaging at least 15 points per game to go along with 10 boards and 2.5 steals. Speaking of steals, Hannah Jones with the theft going the other way. Goes over the right hand and count the bucket, and that's exactly the momentum shift that Middle needed to start this second quarter. And 5 seconds to go. Raventos drives, 1 second, pulls up with a left hand, got it at the buzzer. Leah Raventos gives Charlotte an 8-point lead at the buzzer. Collier for 3. Shooter's roll. Collier has knocked down a 3 in 3 straight contests. She's got one here today. And her Blue Raiders lead by 4. Winning the response. 1-point game.
The freshman stepping up.
51-41. Johnson goes to work with the right hand up and in. Alex Johnson is unstoppable in the second half.
Let's go back to that one stretch there in the third quarter when she had a couple of good defensive possessions. And she just went on from there, and obviously it sparked her offense.
The 49ers call timeout, and they still don't have an answer for the Conference USA preseason player of the year. Alex Johnson's got 14, and the Blue Raiders are up by a dozen. Stay with us on ESPN3. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Thursday evening to you, wherever you may be. We're live from the Glass House, the historic Murphy Center, here on the campus of Middle Tennessee State University. And alongside Sarah Cardona and Chris Childers, I'm Jake Rose. Thank you so much for watching Conference USA women's basketball right here on ESPN3. And we have a fantastic matchup for you tonight. The best rivalry in all of Conference USA. 100 miles of hate comes to Murfreesboro as the Lady Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky have made the trip down from Bowling Green to take on their arch rival in Middle Tennessee. And Chris, these two teams have already played once before, back on January 4th, where Tasia Brown, the leading candidate for Player of the Year, led all scorers with 17 points.
Yeah, she's fabulous, and she was a big part in that game, and she needs to be a big, huge scorer in this game for Western Kentucky. This is going to be a hostile environment on the road, but she is the best player in Conference USA. She's averaging 23 points a game, and she's the biggest reason why, as an offense, this team right now is averaging in the mid-70s as far as scoring throughout conference play. She's right at the heart of what they do offensively.
And back in that matchup in January, Middle Tennessee was missing its biggest ingredient in Alex Johnson, the preseason player of the year. She's back in the lineup tonight. She's been playing very well the last 5 games.
Well, and she looked in top shape last game out against Florida International. She had 24 points in that game. Over the last 5 games, she's been averaging around 15 points. She has found her offensive rhythm. The injury set her back a little bit, but she's rounding into form at the right time as we're a couple weeks away from the Conference USA tournament.
Speaking of Conference USA, let's take a quick look at the conference standings. Lady Blazers of UAB sit atop those standings with a 9-1 mark, and then you see 3 teams right below them. Western Kentucky with a 9-2 mark. They lost to Rice last weekend, and those Lady Owls actually coming into Murfreesboro on Saturday to take on Middle Tennessee. A huge week in Conference USA. Western Kentucky coming into this game with an overall record of 18-6. Before losing to Rice last weekend, they were riding a 6-game winning streak. Meanwhile, the Lady Raiders of Middle Tennessee with a 15-9 mark, including a 7-3 home record here at the Glass House. And we are underway. 100 miles of hate right here on ESPN3. Western Kentucky wins the tip.
So excited for this game, Jake. This rivalry is so intense. You keep referencing 100 miles of hate, and let me tell you, hate is a real word in this rivalry game. If you watch the football game this year, it went into 3 overtimes. It was emotional. The men's game that just happened a couple weeks ago went down to the wire. This rivalry is intense.
A quick foul called against Alex Johnson. Middle Tennessee going to need a big game from the junior from right here in Murfreesboro if they want to keep up offensively with Western. They are the 2nd highest scoring team in Conference USA. We've got another whistle on the floor, but seems like the officials weren't too sure what to call. It's going to be a block against Middle Tennessee, as there is a starting 5 for Western Kentucky. Brown and Brown, along with Sydney Bopp, El Jadawi, and Whitney Creech. And there's the starting lineup for Middle Tennessee. Alex Johnson, Abby Sissom, Jess Lauro, Katie Collier, and Gabby Lyon getting her third straight start. El Jadawi drove to the hole and drew the foul against Gabby Lyon. That'll be her first. And 2 quick fouls. Less than 30 seconds into the first quarter go against Middle Tennessee.
Yeah, and the fans aren't happy here from the get-go. You hear already, 30 seconds in the game, the fans are going nuts. They're yelling at the refs, getting a little bit spicy early on.
There was a second look as El Jadawi, 54% free throw shooter, misses on the second. The 72nd matchup between these two teams. Western Kentucky looking for their 5th straight win against Middle Tennessee.
Great ball movement on the perimeter here for the Raiders.
3 on the shot clock. Johnson from the baseline, too strong. Ball batted around and finally rebounded by Whitney Creech.
Johnson comes up short there, but you got to believe she's extra motivated in this game. We talked about in the open, she missed the last time they played the rival Western Kentucky on the road. Middle Tennessee fell short in that game. Alex Johnson knows she has to be the leader in this game if Middle Tennessee is going to knock off the Hilltoppers.
Western walked away with a 57-43 victory at EA Diddle Arena back on January 4th. That was the opening game in the Conference USA schedule for both teams. Of course, Middle was without Alex Johnson. And that's Johnson right there in the lane. She is fouled on the floater, and she is sent to the line for 2. Here's a look at Michelle Clark-Hurd in her 6th season in Bowling Green. Put together a very impressive record so far. 146 wins, just 45 losses in 6 seasons.
She has done an amazing job 100 miles down the road in closing the gap on Middle Tennessee. MTSU was a dominant program for so long, whether it was the Sun Belt Conference or Conference USA, annually going to the NCAA tournament, dominating their league. Western Kentucky has closed the gap and then some, to the point where they've won 4 in a row against Middle Tennessee. That's huge.
Tasia Brown picks up the loose ball and finishes strong with a left hand.
And she does that so well. She is so quick and so aggressive. That's what makes her the best player in Conference USA. She is a nightmare to try to guard.
And another foul called against Middle Tennessee, as there's Rick Insel. 13th season here in Murfreesboro. An impressive record himself. 314 wins here in Murfreesboro. Earned himself a spot in the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame last year, as Western Kentucky comes out showing some pressure, trying to hurry up this Raiders offense.
And they're going to do that. They're going to try to turn turnovers. They're going to try to speed up the tempo of this game. This team averages 76 points a game, and they like to go, go, go.
They're facing against a Middle Tennessee defense that ranks 19th nationally in defensive efficiency. 2 on the shot clock. Sissom's got to do something with it. Can't get it off in time, and that's going to be a shot clock violation. And Chris, we've seen this time and time again from the Lady Raider offense. They really struggle to get their shots off in a timely manner, often taking 4 shots as the shot clock is winding down, and that's going to be a jump ball.
I think what they're trying to do, though, early on is they're trying to make it their game. They want to get deep into the shot clock. Maybe you're not going to always get the best high percentage shots, but I think for Middle Tennessee, you want to keep this a low-scoring game.
Middle gets possession, and more full-court pressure as Gabby Lyon is stripped at half court by El Jadawi.
Great hustle there by El Jadawi. One of the bigger players on the floor, one of the taller players on the floor, but showing great athleticism.
Johnson splits the defense and goes up with a right hand. A nice finish from Alex Johnson.
That's what she does so well. That's her signature move. She is an absolute warrior in the low post. Give her a little room, she can make a move, get a little open space, and get the easy 2 to go down.
Brown fouled on the shot. And that's going to be 2 free throws for Tasia Brown. Foul goes against Alex Johnson. That is a very, very important second foul against Johnson with 6:57 to go here in the first.
Yeah, and Brown does that. She's been to the free throw line more than anybody for Western Kentucky this year. She's had 203 free throw attempts this year. She's a 77% shooter. She's so aggressive, so good at attacking the basket, drawing fouls, and getting to the line.
And Rick Insell opts to stay with the Conference USA preseason player of the year, Johnson, with 2 fouls. So a very early gamble.
It's risky, but I think you have to have her out there. I mean, you're probably playing the best team in the league. I know in the standings, UAB's got a game right now, and Western fell back a game after losing to Rice over the weekend. But if you've watched Western play at all, I think this is the best team in the league, and you need your best player out there in Alex Johnson if you're going to beat Western Kentucky.
Morrow, quick trigger. Too strong. Rebounded by Western. And here come the Lady Toppers. Creech, coast to coast. That's going to be an offensive foul against Whitney Creech.
Yeah, and I think this is unnecessary by Creech. She had help. Ivy Brown was inside in the low post. Wide open there. No reason not to give that up for the easy layup.
A fantastic job by Katie Collier, the junior from Knoxville, Tennessee, to hustle down the opposite end of the floor and get her feet set and take the charge. Lady Toppers really trying to push the tempo here early.
Smart by Collier, just setting it up, getting into the half court. Not trying to force the issue. Sisson wanted that one.
Western doing a great job so far defensively on the perimeter as that ball's knocked away from Johnson.
Gotta love the idea, though. That's what Johnson does. That's what you want to set up, feed her inside, but just got a little bit out of control right there.
Pull-up three. Yes, ma'am, Ivy Brown.
That's what Ivy Brown does so well. She's a 40% shooter from the outside this year. She averages around 15 points a game. There's a lot of talk when it comes to Western about Tayshia Brown, but Ivy Brown, another huge compliment, big-time star for Western Kentucky. She can beat you inside and outside.
Career 1,000-point scorer, one of 2 to go along with Tayshia Brown on this Western Kentucky squad as Sydney Bach picks up the foul. Michelle Tampa checks in for the Lady Toppers, as does Sherry Porter.
Just gotta love this series. The intensity, anytime these teams play, it's off the charts. The fans get extra into it. I think it helped the fans get a little bit riled up with the 2 early calls against Middle in the first 30 seconds with this game being a home game for Middle Tennessee, but this rivalry always delivers. It really does.
Freshman Anna Jones checks in for Katie Collier, and that's going to be another turnover against Middle Tennessee. And Collier checks right back in, this time for Abby Sisson. See Rick Insell there talking to the senior from Woodbury, Tennessee, Abby Sisson. Back-to-back double-figure games for her. And she's going to be one of the pieces to watch for Middle Tennessee, as they're going to need some secondary scoring outside of Alex Johnson on the offensive end. 3-ball on the way. Shooter's roll can't go for Dee Gibbons.
Anna Jones, who's wearing number 15, just checking in the game for Middle Tennessee. She can be a streaky kind of player, but definitely can take over a game when she's hot. Curious to see how she handles this stage tonight against Western Kentucky.
She had 4 games in January in which she scored in double figures, but in her last 3 games, just 11 points. She was scoreless last weekend against FIU.
She's wide open on the wing right now.
Jones with 1, pulls up. And another hurried shot at the end of the shot clock for the Lady Raiders. And another transition bucket for the Lady Toppers.
Going back to Middle Tennessee's last possession, I think for Anna Jones, it just comes down to confidence. We've seen her when she's feeling in a rhythm, when she's feeling good. We've seen her almost at a point where she can't miss a shot. You know, she's that kind of player. Then we've seen her kind of disappear, but she's a freshman. You know, that's going to happen. She's working out the growing pains as the season goes along.
Porter gives the Lady Toppers a 7-point lead with 4 minutes to go in the first. This perimeter defense from Western Kentucky has been suffocating so far.
Been fantastic.
Morrow, another quick trigger, and this time it's good.
Nice little screen by Alex Johnson, opened up just a little space for Lauro, and she gets it to go. Huge 3 for Middle Tennessee. cutting the gap to only 4 points.
That ends a 3-minute scoring drought for Middle Tennessee. Oro now 1 for 3 from behind the arc. Middle Tennessee definitely a volume shooting team from behind the three-point line. And the foul against Collier will take us to our first media timeout with 3:30 to go in the first. Toppers on top 10-6 here in 100 miles of hate. Don't go anywhere. We've got a good one cooking in Murfreesboro. Western will let the clock run down. And the Lady Toppers come into hostile territory and pick up a huge win on the road. Not only for conference standings, but against their arch rival Middle Tennessee. Toppers win 76-60 on the road. Just their 4th conference road win this season. They move their overall record to 19-6. They've got 10 wins in the conference to go with 2 losses. Middle Tennessee falls to 15-10 on the season and 7-5 in conference. 3 players. For Sarah Cardona and for Chris Childers and entire ESPN3 crew, I'm Jake Rowe saying so long from Murfreesboro, where the final score is Western Kentucky 76, Middle Tennessee 60. To see a replay of this entire game as well as other games on the ESPN networks, log on to watchespn.com or download the Watch ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. From Murfreesboro, good night, everybody.